Boom.
Boom. And we're here.
And we're live.
It's a little bumpy. A little bit of a... Well, yeah, we're live later.
Recording in the moment.
Yes. Yeah. So here we are. Testing normal. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Curtis.
Sweet. And here we are. We want to talk a little bit about where we want to go with this, where we kind of came up with some ideas for it. Yeah. And I'll let you lead off.
Well, good.
What do you feel?
Good point to start is I think we just wanted to make a podcast because we have we enjoy listening to podcasts ourselves, and it's really kind of a fun idea of kind of going out there and exploring new ideas and testing things that are normal or abnormal, as well as whether it's thoughts or whether it's social constructs or whether it's something that has to do with personal challenges.
Yeah, that's kind of what brought us to this point. So,
right.
So we embarked on a challenge and then brought my brother along, Josh.
Yep.
And to talk a little bit about how that kind of
happened.
Yeah, kind of happened. Like,
well,
it started out pretty sane. Yeah,
started out saying, well, from the beginning, basically, we had the idea. We had heard a couple other podcasts where they'd done these challenges for a month, and there's different components to it. So there was a component, a physical component, and then a mental component. Right. And what we had decided, we decided basically with Josh, Jordan, and I, is we were going to do the physical component was going to be who can get the most points by the end of the month through certain physical activities such as push-ups, sit-ups, squats, jump ropes, and all of them had different point levels. Right. Yeah. And I'm gonna see if I can pull some up on the screen here in a second to show some of what we're doing, if that's okay with you. Yeah, cool. If it's not okay with Josh, he's not here to say anything. Yeah, so he can't really defend himself.
He can't really say anything later, and we're not,
So while that's loading, there was the physical component and then the mental component. And the mental component was not so much mentally challenging as much as was kind of like fasting from any type of caffeine, alcohol, or any other sort of like substances basically for the month. Yeah. Which adds another kind of dynamic of challenging.
So this is, I'll pull it up. I'll pull it up on full screen actually is what I'll do. This was kind of our breakdown. If you look, this is me. I'm not bragging because I'm actually losing right now. And we got 4 days left. There's near zero chance. I mean, you can see right here. I put this on mine, like the point spread. I'm doing not great, being the older one in this group. But we had pull-ups at a 1.5, push-ups at 1, squats at 1, jump rope it was
0.1.
0.1. Yeah. And then leg lifts. Those actually changed partway through, and we talked about changing jump rope.
What did we start at leg lifts with?
Leg lifts were
they were 0.1 as well.
Were they?
Yeah.
Or were they 5? I think they were 0.2.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
And then tricep dips, which you can see I've done 1 for the entire month. I did 1, and I have just ropes. I don't have bars, and it was too difficult. It wasn't worth it. So for me, that's where it went. And it kind of got crazy because at first we had unlimited amounts of time. And you can see, if we go and look at the standings, like Josh is kind of kicking our butts right now. And you can see where we started out.
Exponential curve taking place.
Where we started out in the beginning here was pretty low. Yeah. And then we ramped up and when we hit the 3000s, we were like, we're giving ourselves unlimited amounts of time. Yeah. And we were spending too much time.
We're spending literally, it's taking the entire day.
Yeah.
For like 5 hours, 6 hours.
It was way too much. So we discussed it and unanimously agreed we're gonna shorten this down to 45 minutes, and you can break it into 15-minute groups. So you couldn't just do 10 push-ups in 10 seconds
and whoever can get the most points in that day.
Right, but then you can see where it dropped off at the 3,000 numbers, and it still was crazy. Like breaking 2,000 wasn't uncommon. I did it a couple times and almost died. Right. But I think you hit 2,300 one day.
Yeah, I think I had 23, maybe close to 25. But so that's one of the things that we've been enjoying is this challenge that we've been doing, and we've kind of been thinking about every month, are we going to do a new challenge? Maybe are we going to do something? And we're not committed to it, but maybe bringing other people in that might be interested, people that are listening to this, and maybe participate in some of these challenges. So
just the sheer amount of things we've done, though.
Going back to how many push-ups is squats.
12,272 push-ups I've done this month. And that's not adding today's in.
It's brutal. It's so bad for your joints. It's
not a suggested thing, and that was another thing. Like, even I don't think I told you this, that Josh, we decided it was when we were thinking about doing this podcast and setting this room up and all that, we were like, we're gonna quit.
Yeah.
We're gonna send Josh a text, and we're gonna straight up say we're out. And he would have been. I actually told him this, and he's like, and I would have been pissed. I would have been pretty upset if you guys did that.
Oh yeah. I knew he would.
And
I thought about that too.
I knew he would,
and
it wasn't fair. I mean, he's gonna win anyway at this point. I mean, unless you think you can somehow pull off some miracle.
I don't think I can, because about 3 weeks into the challenge, I had really kind of my shoulder started getting a little inflamed, and then I was helping somebody that was quite a bit heavier than I was kind of get up and down from this table, and they kind of fell and grabbed my arm and pulled down on my arm and shoulder, and so that really kind of jacked up my shoulder. I still feel like it's almost impossible for me to get.
You're the MVP of Josh's team right now.
Oh wait, what do you mean?
Because you're pulling, you're really boosting his numbers.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I
know.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah, Team Josh really enjoys your injury.
Shoulder injuries.
I did watch him try to do a push-up yesterday, and it was. I'm not gonna say I didn't laugh a little bit inside.
You saw my arm quivering from pain.
Yeah.
But yeah, going back to it. So we were thinking about these different challenges that we might be doing, and some of the other ones that we've thought about. We're not like settling on them for sure, but thinking about like a mental challenge, like maybe whoever can learn another language by the end of the month the best. So like everybody in the group that's participating in this challenge, like whether it's Spanish, French, Pig Latin, whatever.
Pig Latin.
I
can't even master that.
We could have like a little online challenge, and whoever scores the best wins. Or we were talking about like investment challenge, where we have $100, and whoever makes the most out of that 100 by the end of the month wins. And then or there was like we were talking about maybe like who was it? One who could eat the most calories in one day.
That's not one I want to do.
Yeah, or not in one day, but like in a week, or
and not gain the most weight.
Yeah, or like in a 4-day period, try to who could stay awake the longest. Like really crazy.
I don't think
stuff.
you'd actually said a day amount. You'd said like, let's see who can stay up the longest, but I don't think you'd said like a day amount. I had a friend that did. I think he did 11 days. Or
no. You can't stay.
Maybe
awake
it was
for
7
days. He stayed awake for 7 days.
Yeah, it was like
no. I call bull.
I do too,
way.
But like his story and he's just a little bit messed up.
Unless he's on methamphetamine.
He wasn't. No,
maybe.
Not unless the Catholic Church allows methamphetamines.
I don't know, dude. Catholic Church has some messed up stuff.
So. That's
so
true. It's pretty. They're like, well,
when in Rome,
meth's okay. Oh, and so this is where we're at. Like we bounced around with the name and everything, and some of what's come of this, and I love the back and forth that will be here, because I work in tech. I love tech. I eat, breathe, wake up, and do it. I love to disconnect from it, but that's just my life. And I really enjoy the health side of things as well.
Yeah.
And then you're kind of the inverse of that.
Right.
Where you eat, breathe, the health
every day
side of it, but you're like want to delve
work
into
in the
tech
health
stuff.
field.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'll enjoy the tech stuff, but I'm not, by no means do I have a expert.
No, but you're not like against it, and you want to learn it, and you like
totally.
it, and you're like, hey, I want to learn more about that, and let's make use of that.
Totally.
And that's kind of what has birthed some of this. But we have all these discussions where we're like, man, if someone heard what we said right now,
they'd hate us.
They'd either really really like us and respect us, which that's a slim chance,
right?
Or they would hate us, but they might enjoy it.
Right.
And we don't ever, like, in these discussions, we don't ever think that we're gonna hurt each other if we disagree, because I think there are some things that we disagree on.
Totally.
But we can come away from it knowing a little bit more. And as I've matured, and I'm assuming you've been this way too, I was a lot more argumentative before and just want to get my point across. But now I'm like actually genuinely curious about someone else's point. I mean, that might be wrong,
right?
But I'm okay walking away with it and not hating them.
Yeah, that's just I think that's just what normal human growth should look like.
Yeah.
And it's just this state of mind where we're recognizing we don't know everything.
But that's not the normal today in society. And that's what bothers me.
It's not in some walks of life, in some places, but I think that it's something that I think I would like to promote, and I think you would too. And that's something that we're going to be challenging other people and we're going to have other people on as well that we can have guests and talk to them about interesting topics as well, but challenging these ideas and these constructs and seeing how they really actually apply to life.
And if they are just constructs.
And if they are
to bring up something that's like controversial, like, well, it's just a social construct. Whatever, man. Right. Yeah, like at the end of the day, it's just that doesn't hold up.
That's a good point. There are some things. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So we want to talk about controversial things and leave this as a space for that. Yeah. And if people, comment, if people want to listen to this or watch this,
totally.
It's going to be available in audio. It's going to be available in videos. If you're seeing us on either one of those, you can look us up on YouTube. Yeah. You can look us up on iTunes, or you can look us up in any whatever podcast thing that you listen to that's out there, a podcast aggregator. If it's not there, let us know. We can try to make
let us know.
Try to make
We're
it
going to have an Instagram page, Testing Normal.
Yep. And then we have a webpage too. It's just testingnormal.com. And there's a contact on there that if you have anything that comes up or whatever, and obviously you can comment on the videos, but we're not going to argue with anyone.
But you could DM us on the Testing Normal, Instagram page if you have anything you want us to talk about or any questions about anything in particular. Yeah. Or any good ideas. Hit us up. Let us know for sure.
Yeah. And then we do have an email address. It's admin@testingnormal.com. And you can get that on the website.
There you go.
Everything is just testing normal. And we are not claiming that we're normal, but we want to test what people say is the normal these days.
For sure.
And discuss it, because I think that things deserve discussion.
Definitely.
So most things are not off the table.
Right. Exactly.
But some things are. So,
well, and we don't know for sure what those are yet and exactly what that looks like.
Yeah. So if you see like a clip, you're like, we talked about something that you're like, whoa, everything jumped for a second. Yeah. We talked about something that we decided we don't want the world to know about that yet. So
yeah, but basically like this has no format. It has to go. It's just sitting down for, however long with whoever we want to and just talk about whatever.
Yeah,
we can be as free as we want to, or do whatever you guys want to do when you're talking. So it's chill. And then we're gonna try to have this little portion, like I just said, we don't have to do anything, but we're gonna try to have this little portion where it's called "What's Happening."
At least a little direction.
Yeah, direction.
I like direction.
And what's happening, basically, it just goes over some of today's current either political events or fun science things or fun shows or fun music videos.
This is essentially
fun videos.
What a car ride with Jordan and Curtis would look like.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
dude, have you heard about this?
Dude, have you seen this video? This is sick.
Have you seen this?
Yeah, totally.
What do you think about
making
this?
fun of each other or
do
those
you
videos?
Agree with the wall?
Yeah. Oh, okay, dude. Okay, real quick. Let's talk about that real quick. So,
real quick? Yeah. Real quick.
Okay, so what Jordan's referencing is the wall, obviously, Trump's wall that has been...
I was talking about the Great Wall of China.
Oh.
Someone's already done this. I'm just kidding.
Bullcrap. So, it's controversial right now, obviously. We just ended the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. And it was it 20...
It was a lot of
26 days?
Well, did it start on the 1st?
I don't know.
I don't remember when it started. I'm not a federal employee, so probably around... It's over 20 days. But it's even with... At this point, it's with...
No, it happened before the 1st.
Was it?
Yeah, I think it was before...
It's been a long time.
I think it was like 30...
I feel bad because there's a lot of people who are affected by
30 plus days. So here's the interesting thing. So Trump was asking for $5 billion for funding of his wall.
A lot of money.
A lot of money. In the grand scheme of things.
Grand screen. Yeah, some people are.
Yeah. That's not that much money if you look at the $1 trillion that the U.S., their GDP, over $1 trillion, whatever.
Right.
However, the total cost of the government shutdown that they estimated for that period of time was approximately, they said around, I looked this up on, I think it was like MSN or something, around $11 billion is how much it cost the U.S. economy to shut down the government for those 30 plus days.
So it would have been cheaper just to agree. But that doesn't mean that you just should.
No. Doesn't mean you should, but it means that both parties are idiots.
Yeah, we knew that. We knew that going into this. Wholeheartedly, we knew both sides were idiots.
Yeah, but the simple idea that you should be able to, as economists and people that know how the economy works and how the government works, they should be able to see, if we shut down for greater than this period of time, it's going to end up costing the U.S. economy more than what the actual wall is going to cost. So it's not worth continuing this fight is what Congress should have recognized.
And I'm not arguing either way, but say they didn't. Number one, they don't know how long it's going to go on. It's really just a contest of who's more stubborn than the other person. So there's no estimating that to begin with. There wasn't like, we're going to shut down for 60 days. Like, that didn't happen. It just has gone on and on and on because no one's reaching a consensus. So, and then if you relent, going on the other side of things, what else are they going to ask for? What else are they going to expect is happening? Or is going to happen?
What do you think? Should there be a wall? Do you think the wall actually is a practical thing, a helpful thing? Do you think it's something that is even of any value? Or do you think this is something that is basically a political ploy?
Gosh. Number one, I would ask. I've not built a wall of this scale.
Sure.
I'm not convinced 5 billion would build a wall, an entire wall.
Well, and I don't think his wall was looking to fund the entire border of U.S. and Mexico. I don't think that was what the purpose of the wall was. And I think from what I understood, what I was reading is that wall was to repair some of the existing wall, but also establish new wall in certain parts where it's higher risk for border crossing on foot.
And I would say that I've seen enough things where people are affected by that I think there is some value to it. There are some people that are definitely hurt by it. I think it's a very complex issue because when I say that, immediately people think, well, you're just anti-immigration. And I don't think that the wall is an issue of immigration or anti-immigration at all.
Yeah.
Because people are still going to do that.
So essentially, I think that having a wall is not going to stop somebody from trying to get to the U.S.
No.
I think that honestly, like if you look at it from a global perspective, it's hard, but I'm not down with the idea of there even being borders necessarily. Like, I mean, I get the idea of like a government being responsible for a certain set of people and having their own laws within that certain place of residence. However, I think that if someone wants to come to the U.S., as long as they abide by our laws, then I think, well, okay, great.
Yeah.
That's good. But also from the perspective of, dude, if I lived in a country that had overwhelming poverty, had cartels that were risking the life of my kids, that were, preventing me from providing for my family unless it was, threatening life to myself or threatening their lives, dude, I would get the heck out of there.
Right. No, I totally agree. And I see that side of it. The other side of me is like, just like backing up and taking a bigger picture. There are walls in parts now, but if it just seems, and in all honesty, I've never gone to the border of Mexico and been like, there is no wall here. I'm in Mexico. I'm in the U.S. I don't know what it looks like. Right. And it looks probably extremely different the whole way through. But there is a border crossing. Right. That doesn't make any sense to me.
What do you mean?
I mean, like, if there's other ways to get in, like, is there...
Oh, why do people even go to that?
Yeah.
That specific location?
Yeah.
Well, I think those people are trying to do it legally.
It's like when you go into California... There's a ton of places like I've driven to California a couple times in the last year, and when you cross, like there are some places where like, do you have any fruits and vegetables? I was like, but if I went 20 miles that way, there is no border crossing. So what is the point of paying someone to stand there and ask if I have fruits and vegetables? Does that make sense? Like, kind of. And maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but that's kind of where my brain goes. It's like, what? Okay.
Yeah. Basically, there needs to be some form of, if there's, like, we have those couple periods, and I think they're still happening right now, of those 1,200, 1,300 refugees that were coming from South America through Central America trying to get into the U.S. because they were trying to escape their, overwhelmingly terrible living situations.
Right, yeah.
And they could not get into the U.S.
Right.
They couldn't seek refugee status because there was too many of them. Basically, I think all at once they were overwhelming the system,
Right.
and then we ended up with all these people in these almost like basically refugee camps where they were trying to get medical care, and kids were dying because of it. I would like to see some type of system set up for expedited refugee status or expedited living arrangements for those that would like to seek,
it was 35 days.
Land of the free. 35, yeah. So, yeah. 35 days is a very long time. So, okay, here's an interesting thought. How did where did that $11 billion come from, that loss? Do you know? I looked it up a little bit.
I have no idea.
So $11 billion, part of the things that loss came from was certain companies that were trying to get permits, like federal permits for building things.
So it wasn't them paying it out. It just wasn't.
It was loss of revenue.
Okay. So are they just going to get that now that they reopen? Like
some of them, but the government lost and also thinking about time. So all the government parks, national museums, national agencies. So another one was the USDA. They are responsible for a lot of food and testing and all these different companies that come in and try to get basically, saying, hey, yeah, your company's safe to be producing what they need to be producing, agriculture wise. So a lot of these companies lost tons of money, but then the government itself lost revenue by not being able to give those permits and those loans and those whatever through. So $11 billion total, which is staggering to think about.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Was it a loss or was it just delay of income?
Well, that's a good question. I think
that all those places
loss,
need to get it again.
But I think it is a partial delay. I think it's a delay in some areas, but a loss in others. Because you can't get that income back from those federal parks and museums that was off for a month.
True.
You can't get that back.
Right. That portion of it, but permits.
And there's other portions that are. There are other things like the parks that I'm not coming to my mind right now.
Right.
That they lost a month worth of income.
You imagine they're like, well, we shut down all the parks, and if you drove to the park and you looked, all the animals are just paused. We can't. Actually, I don't know if you know.
We don't have funding to move.
There's a federal shutdown
right now. We don't have funding to move. And
I'm just over here. I haven't eaten in 33 days.
That's very, very funny. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Making light of a
really
crappy situation.
Terrible situation. I know. I was actually, this is very selfish, but I was thinking so Annie and the kids and I were flying out next month, and I was thinking oh crap, what if TSA is total lockdown? They're just saying we're not staffing this right now because we can't fund it.
Right.
People were calling in sick. People were saying I'm not coming into work because they hadn't been paid for a month. So I don't blame them. You have to have some type of put pressure on the government to get their.
And that's a pretty
together.
flashy job to begin with. I mean, if you're not getting paid, I would think if I was a TSA guy, I'd be like,
right,
I'll show up anyway. I would volunteer to do this.
Oh, I don't know if I would. I don't know.
Totally kidding.
Oh, okay. I'm like, wait, what?
Was this
I don't think they're making what, $12 an hour maybe? Something like that.
I don't know. But
know,
they just deal with angry people all day.
Right.
They get paid to stand near a machine that the dentist covers me with lead to protect me from it.
That's a great point.
They're like, what is that? It's just
does
that look like a bomb? Point. It's just like a watermelon with a string coming out of it.
You never see somebody in the airport wearing any type of lead aprons, and they're standing right next to those x-ray machines that they walk through every day. Actually, no, those are metal detectors. Those aren't x-ray machines. Yeah. Well, the big circle thing.
No, but the thing that their bags go through.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some protection around the thing and all that. I don't know how it works, but
yeah,
I don't know. You just can't be great to stand around that. I mean,
it seems like it would have some picograms of, or not picograms. That's steroid testing.
Where have you been recently?
Oh man, I've been in the UFC world thinking about John Jones doping.
Yeah, I sent you that link, and you're like, "Yeah, I know. He's really good at getting away with it."
Yeah,
he's
the best fighter in the world, John Jones, UFC fighter, one of the best fighters I think who's ever lived, but also one of the best. I don't know if I say con artist or just steroid artist with being able to get away with always testing positive on these Well, MMA matches.
Where they're like, he wasn't super positive.
Right.
Like,
He's just a little bit positive. But then they're like,
he probably ate too much chicken.
He went to Mexico and had that good meat. He had that good cow.
Yeah, that they feed grass to.
Feed grass too, and a little bit of juice.
Yeah.
A little bit of juice. Dripping with that steroid, little drip.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways.
I saw that and I was like, oh, you can't do that. And then you were like, yeah, he gets away with it. I'm like, well,
but then they ban other people for life.
I don't like that.
Doing that. I know.
The anti-rule bender in my mind doesn't like that.
It's very frustrating.
Yeah.
Very frustrating.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are interesting topics for sure.
Yeah.
Crazy crap.
Here's one that I found. I'm just gonna pop it up on the screen.
Pop it.
And you see. Let's see. Where is it at? Shoot. Yes. Maybe you've seen this.
Okay.
But here's the article we're looking at. It's in the age of luxury cannabis, it's time to talk about drug war reparations.
What is this?
Okay, so the general idea here is, and I'll be honest, it's a very, very long article.
It's got a couple sentences.
Yeah, and so we're not gonna read all of that right now, but basically what it's saying is, it used California as an example because they were really staunch and they had a lot of people that got arrested, and they have this now on their record.
Yeah,
and we were talking about this with the fighter that tested positive with cannabis and got banned for life, and
Nick
now
Diaz.
they're like, we're not gonna.
Nick Diaz,
like, oh right, that wasn't a good thing to do.
Right.
So they're saying these people have these things on their records, and now it's not against the law.
That's a good point, actually. That's a really good point.
And so I was thinking about that. What are the first things that pop into your head when you think? Because
I don't think reparations maybe as much as because there's too many people.
What if you did prison time?
I think if you're in prison, you need to be immediately released from prison if it's only on cannabis.
Right. What about that loss of time?
And then, because I guess maybe not the loss of time, only because at the time when you were arrested, it was illegal.
Right.
So the idea of paying reparations back in time is not good, but I think that immediately it should be released, and I think it should be expunged.
Right.
The records should be clear because current law allows for it. So I think that needs to be expunged, and I think that it needs to become a socially kind of accepted idea of like, yeah, if this is something that's illegal now, even though you paid your time when it was illegal,
right,
and you were paying your time, but now you're living in an area where it's not, so you need to be free to not have that weight on your shoulders anymore.
Yeah, I read this last night, so I can't remember exactly what they're going into. Like, reparations is like the idea is making things right, and repairing is the actual word. And so I think bare minimum, like it's what they're talking about, is people have it on their record.
Right,
you might be released, but
clear that record.
Yeah,
totally. I'm all for clearing that record. I think that's insane that somebody would have that on their record for life when it's something that is no longer being prosecuted or being charged.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. It's a great point.
Anyway, it's just I found it interesting. I was like, oh,
yeah.
What? Yeah.
That's good. I like that. Yeah, that's an interesting topic. Going on this stream, this is interesting. I was listening to this podcast about how the state and federal system and courts and a lot of privately funded prisons are big proponents of not legalizing cannabis.
Yeah, it's their business.
So they have an overwhelming large number of inmates that are in prison because of cannabis.
Right.
And
they get paid.
That's how the prison guards are not, and this is obviously a generalization. This is not everybody, but some of the people that are in prison are because of that. And that's how these private prisons get paid, by having these inmates. But then, if this was legal, federally especially, that'd be a huge number of inmates that'd be released for non-violent.
Yeah, I think crimes. It was like, I'd have to look up the numbers, and I think it was when they signed in basically the drug war. which was essentially just a war on cannabis, because they can't really test for other things. Yeah, they could catch you selling them and stuff like that.
When they started,
some things I think that they should regulate, and they should.
When they started the drug war, is that what you're saying?
That prison, I think it was around 4,000% growth in the prison industry. So inmates coming in since that time.
That's crazy. Yeah, the war on drugs has been the least effective war.
Oh yeah,
in history. I mean, obviously our current war on terror hasn't been very successful either.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, attacks on the U.S. have decreased, at least what we know about, but
that aren't us.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. But the war on drugs has been a huge failure and not been a very effective way of helping people that have unhealthy addictions.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also not only that, but basically there's a socioeconomic aspect to it too, where these people are so impoverished that one of the only ways they can survive in a lot of areas that they, is basically, hey,
this is what we do.
Dude, we're gonna sell some crack and make some money.
It would be interesting to go back, because it's whenever we talk about this, not we, but anybody talks about it, they're like, well, what else have we ever done where we've gone from illegal to legal to legal to illegal? And I'm like,
well, obviously
we did
prohibition.
We did with the prohibition.
Yeah,
with
obviously
alcohol.
Prohibition.
So
yeah.
it'd be interesting to see what they did for people that did that, because
yeah.
So
they were tough. They were way tougher on people back then, man. I doubt that they.
Yeah, they're like,
they probably stayed in prison back then.
We hung them, so we can't really fix this.
Dead.
So
all of them.
Whoops. Our bad.
Next time we do something like this, we won't kill them all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next time.
Yeah.
Next time we'll just leave them in prison forever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But it would be interesting to see that. And then the other thing that I thought about it was after a little while of thinking about it was, there are some things some crimes that we tie to this, that the cannabis was involved, but somebody did something else. So you can't just say like anyone who has a cannabis crime wipe their things clean, because it might have been like a violent thing. Yeah.
Compounding.
They were growing it, but they also
right.
shot a police officer.
That's true.
Like,
that's true.
That's a bad thing still. Like you might have been doing something that you thought that was legal, but then you can't do this other thing that
there's more involved than just that one aspect. Yeah, and that makes sense. That makes sense, obviously. But
which is a good point to bring up with anything that we talk about, is we might have like a simple idea about something,
super basic,
but it's so complex.
In the grand scheme of things, we're idiots.
We're complete morons.
Complete idiots. But
but we're fun idiots.
We're fun idiots, but also
fun ideas.
It's fun to think about these things. And if someone doesn't at least think about these ideas, then you don't have any type of growth. You don't have any improvement. You can't improve on something unless you try.
Right, but here's what I was listening to the thing the other day, and the guy was actually arguing that we should not think about these things, that we shouldn't say something about them, because we might lead someone down the wrong path. And it was like,
wow, that's a scary thought.
What, are you kidding me? So what he was essentially saying is, at the basic level, was you take what we as the government or your authority says and don't think about it. You just take it at face value, you accept it and do it. And I'm like, I just don't. I don't. Dude, because here's the thing: it's like,
worst idea I've ever heard.
I have some ideas, I have some opinions, as do you, and there's as many opinions as there are people in the world,
right?
At least,
right.
I'm willing to be wrong. But I might be like really hard on it right now.
Totally.
But then be like, no, actually, maybe something you've said has made me think about this a little bit more. And you would never get that without discussion,
right?
And I think that, sadly, that we live in a world where people aren't. They're more focused on giving, like punching someone with their idea and saying, if you don't agree with it, then you're wrong and you should be hated. But then they call for love in the next. It's such a crazy time and place that we live in.
Yeah, for sure. So one other, I wanted to show one other video.
Yes.
Real quick here. See if we can get that pulled up.
I'm gonna pull it up here.
It's super quick video, but I was watching this the other night and I was just, it's just it's like so perfect. It makes me feel like sometimes when I have these ideas, I'm like, oh, I can do that too, and then this is what happens. Right. But also like it's just adorable to see these little kids trying this thing. It's like
I'm trying to get it
a perfect analogy of when failing's okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think failing is always okay. I think we learn more by failing than.
All right, check this crap out. It's hilarious.
Let's see
here. So watch the little dude here. He's seeing his sister. He's like, okay, I can do that. Okay, sis, yeah. Let me see. Carry the 2. All right, so we're watching a video right now, and this little kid's watching his sister do a cartwheel, and he's doing these calculations in his head. He stands up tall, and he just falls straight forward on his face. He doesn't even... he doesn't do a cartwheel. He just stands up, puts his hands in the air, and falls forward and slams his face on the ground.
I had a similar situation. One of my kids, when they were little, you teach him to do a somersault.
Yeah.
And then he finally... I have all boys, so he pushed my arms away. He's like, I'm going to do this on my own. And kept his arms at his side and just forward, like forehead straight into the carpet.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Like curved a little bit.
Wait, who did that? Boom. Youngest?
As oldest.
Oldest? Hilarious.
Yeah. It was very similar to that, but he's like, no, I got this now. And he didn't realize how much assistance was needed by me. And he was just like, oh gosh.
No, I got this.
Now he's crying.
That's such a good analogy.
I'm laughing, wishing I had a camera.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's great.
So
funny. Anyways, yeah. So that's just
something new.
Something fun.
Here's something. I pulled this up real quick. This made me laugh the other night. I don't know why. It was mostly dumb. I was trying to find it. It's just labeled bagels. It's just this. It's microwave instructions. 9 bagels, 2.5 minutes. 20 bagels, not recommended.
What? Who would microwave 20 bagels? What inhuman? What type of monster would try to pound 20 bagels into a microwave at the same time?
Or consume them.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's like
hilarious.
It just is like.
So wait, 9 bagels, 2.5. But also 9 bagels seems like a high number as well.
Well, they're probably those mini ones.
Oh, is it?
But still a lot. I mean, 9 bagels, 2.5 minutes.
Do you like the simple jump 2.5 minutes to not recommend? And also, why did they decide 9 bagels?
I don't know.
Who picks 9 bagels?
Maybe that fits on a standard plate.
That's hilarious.
Like 20 bagels.
We're looking at a picture right now, and
it's
instructions, obviously, how to bake these bagels. And then the only instructions it gives is how to cook 9 bagels or 20 bagels. And then it says, but we don't recommend cooking 20 bagels. It just randomly selects 9 bagels for 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, you have problems.
You might have a problem if you're cooking. If you're cooking 20 bagels in a microwave, you might have a bagel problem.
Especially if they're like, what if it is full-size bagels? It's like,
yeah. I don't even it would have to be stacks on stacks.
Stacks
on stacks bagels. Stacks on stacks, baby.
Stacks on
stacks bagels, baby. Super funny.
Yeah.
Super funny. That was a good one. That was good. I like that.
Oh, and there's we'll just go back to weed. So, it's always in the headlines these days.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no hiding that we're in Oregon, and
right.
I think it was I met a guy one time out. I think it was in Canada. He's like, "Where are you from?" I was like, "Oregon." He goes, "Oh, they have good weed there."
No, that's hilarious.
Like
Canada is nationally, federally legal now.
It wasn't at the time.
Yeah.
This was a while back, but I remember thinking as a kid, I was like,
"How did you know that?
Why is that the thing that you know about Oregon?"
Well, so now we're known for our cannabis, but our coffee and our cannabis, coffee, and brews. Micro brews. So we definitely are like this culture of
uppers and downers.
Substances. We live in a really rainy area, so we need a lot of uppers and downers.
Why do you drink coffee? To bring me back from the beer.
Yeah.
And the cannabis.
Yeah, seriously. That is actually really interesting that the Northwest would have this propensity to become the experts in those specific things, which I mean I'd rather that than the experts in PCP. Or
we may not be experts, but we're very artsy about it.
Oh yeah
my gosh.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, the coffee thing, I like being known for that, but the other things I'm like, you know, whatever. I could take it or leave it. But the thing that the thing I wanted to bring up, and I didn't see it until just now, is that there was, I think it is for the Super Bowl. Yeah, it is for the Super Bowl. They were gonna play. They had listed a cannabis commercial.
Oh.
And it was rejected.
Oh,
it's turned down, and now it's become this YouTube sensation of watch this. And funny is I saw one of the comments that said,
do you have the commercial? Pull it up.
I'm gonna pull it up here in a second.
Okay.
But one of the comments, I think it was on there, it was on the link where I found it, just said how to make your commercial go more viral than a Super Bowl commercial. Put it on YouTube and say it was rejected by the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, that's a great point.
That's a good point. I don't know how. I'll pull it up and see how long this commercial is. So,
yeah.
Wait, that is not it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Is that a guy or a girl? I don't know what that
is. It's got a sweet beard, so it's questionable.
Oh well, I mean, it depends where they're at.
You just don't know. I'm gonna see. Our internet's not super great out here, so we'll see how well this works. Oh, it's just a minute.
Austin would have
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
Every single day.
Wow.
None of the prescriptions would work. One pill almost killed our son.
I've had 3 back surgeries, and I was on opioids for 15 years.
That's a guy.
It was a very dark, very depressive
Wow.
time in my life.
That kid that was seasoned, man, that was real.
Injury, I felt like I couldn't live with the pain, but I couldn't with this treatment long term.
This got rejected?
Yeah.
That's madness. That's madness.
Medical cannabis saved Austin's life.
Cannabis has given me my life back.
There are families in other states having to watch their children die.
I want to see my brothers and sisters who sacrificed so much for this country have access to the safest treatment possible. This really is an injustice.
It's not just unfair, it's cruel.
Wow. That's a moving
Yeah, so what do you think about that?
video. My gosh. Makes me sad. It makes me really sad that somebody would try to make something political
Yeah.
without really understanding the possible harms and benefits of something.
Right.
And, you know, there was that video where that kid was like seizing, and then they were showing how it was helping him. Man, I can't imagine anybody that has a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I can't fathom the idea of anybody that has a kid, and if that kid is seizing and they can't find any other way to help them,
that they will die.
that they'll die. I mean, people die from seizing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, how could you be against that? Like, trying to do anything you can to help that kid. Like, that's just baffling. It's baffling to me. And it all boils down to this concept of, you know, basically it's a lack of knowledge, lack of experience, and people making opinions, not necessarily opinions, but making laws about things that they have no really good, solid information to make that judgment.
Right.
It's just so sad. It's terrible. And, you know, whatever it is, I think any substance, you know, it's a tool, no matter what it is. And those tools can hurt someone. A hammer can hurt someone, or it can build a house. You know? And there's the right way and right place and right avenue for different substances and chemicals. But man, it's foolish to jump to assumptions and saying that there's no room for this certain thing. And I know someone's thinking like, okay, well, what about, you know, methamphetamine? Like, well, okay, yeah, granted, that's mostly used
technically
in inappropriate ways. But a lot of people, if you have certain psychological conditions, Adderall is basically an amphetamine. You know, it's amphetamine. So you're someone that has severe ADHD or ADD, you know, in some situations it's appropriate.
Right.
Now that doesn't say that there's not other ways of helping with those conditions, but man, to make these assumptions about certain chemicals is foolish.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. But that's a cool video, man.
I like it. I guess you said you can't believe that they rejected it. I can.
Why? What do you think well,
I
just
think
because it's too politically charged?
Well, number one, the opening scene is traumatic.
Yeah.
And while I can agree with that, like you gotta think there's gonna be kids that would be now. There's other arguments too, like there's other things that happen in the Super Bowl that maybe kids shouldn't be watching or whatever. There's other questionable like sexual things that have come up on commercials and stuff.
For sure.
But I think that our society in the U.S. has become one that tries to hide us from those realities. Because as we speak and as we sit in this room with a heater and nobody's doing anything to us, and that there are people being murdered for dumb things around the world, and that's a reality. And I don't think that we need to necessarily inundate ourselves with that, but we've become so callous to the fact that those things happen that to see something that traumatic we've become like almost infants to reality. Like death is even hidden, and it's so normal in other cultures.
Infants to reality. It's kind of a cool phrase.
Yeah.
Infants to reality. Yeah, I like that. And also a big part of infants to reality, it has to be with what your reality is, where you're at, what you're surrounded by.
Because there's some things that we don't even know we're
not
that people
exposed
to.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a whole nother topic and crazy concept. But the idea of having
I think that's
exposure,
why it was.
but that's why also exposure is so good, and having an open mind in a lot of ways, because a lot of people have these opinions, and those opinions are built on their environment that they've grown in.
Right.
And so they don't have really a very, when you say open mind, some people see that as like this kind of like, oh, you're just kind of like, you don't have any morals.
Right.
But really open mind in my world or my idea is really like recognizing humbly that you don't know everything. And there's a lot of situations that are outside of your normal sphere, and seeing those and accepting those realities are really important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
That's what I like having these discussions.
Totally. Me too.
Because it tests what I see as normal.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Cool.
You got anything else?
No, I think that's good, man. It's good for the first one. One and done, baby.
One and done.
Many more to come. One and done, more to come.
Yeah. Again, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Curtis.
You can find us online. If you found us on YouTube, you can also find us in iTunes. You can find us on testingnormal.com.
That's right. We're going to try to get onto Android.
Well, they should pick up on podcast aggregators.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We're going to try to get it. We're going to try to get it fed out there. A lot of them pull from iTunes.
Okay. Sweet.
And we'll try to get it listed in most places. But if you find that it isn't somewhere, you can hit us up in any of those places.
Yeah.
Instagram. If you go to our contact on our webpage, you can even comment on the video, and we'll try to see if we can.
Totally. If you have any interesting things, or if you want to join us on our podcast, let us know too.
Yeah.
We're still in the process of getting everything set up in the room.
As you can see,
there's still kind of things hanging around. But we are getting things going here.
Yeah,
so
we're showing a little side couch over there.
Yeah, showing a little side couch. Like to show a little side couch. Yeah. All right. Well, peace out, people. Love y'all. Hope you have a good day. We'll talk to you later.
All right.
Peace.
Out.